What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. We know that Danielle Smith has been running kind of on the line of where we would be looking for her to run when it comes to Alberta Independence. She has come out and said that she's going to lower the threshold for Albertans to meet the criteria in order to hold questions such as a referendum on a ballot. That being said, she has also said that any question would need to be submitted honoring treaties, honoring the laws within Alberta, but also be a citizen-led initiative, and that should those votes come through, Danielle, of course, would respond in kind. That being said, there's also been a lot of tension from people I've seen on the other side saying, well, Danielle really isn't jumping off the fence in order to back Alberta prosperity. She's not doing enough to show Albertans that she, in fact, is standing behind the idea of Alberta moving forward without the federal government. Once we put all of that into perspective, I have sat down with a former Reform Party founder as well as Conservative Party founder Preston Manning. Keep your eyes out for that video today because we talk a lot that has to do with this, but I wanted to highlight this video which came out yesterday of Danielle Smith talking about where Alberta goes moving forward. Now, it's important to watch this because a lot of people sent this my direction saying, Fringe, I'm not happy with the way Danielle put this. Others saying they think it's fantastic. So let's take a look at it together and we'll pick it apart, dissect it, and talk about where Alberta should go moving forward from here.
Alberta, our home. Pristine mountains and lakes, wide open pastures and fertile fields, unmatched natural resources, world-class cities, world-class people. Alberta truly has it all. We are a strong and free people, full of entrepreneurs, food producers, builders, caregivers, teachers, and a whole lot of hardworking, tough as nails, get-her-done grit. Our potential is as limitless as our skies. But let's face it, Alberta is being held back. Our economy has been under attack for most of the last 10 years. Frankly, off and on for decades long before then. Not by a foreign country or by world economic forces. No, Alberta's biggest threat to our prosperity and growth has come from our own nation's capital. Alberta has an Ottawa problem.
So Danielle, right off the bat, is painting a very good picture here. Again, stipulating the problem, that it's Ottawa. The problem is within Ottawa. Pointing out that Alberta's essentially gripes with the world is building up to, we just want a fair deal.
For the last 10 years, Ottawa, led by successive Liberal governments propped up by their NDP allies, have taken direct aim at Alberta's core industries. Ottawa's Bill C-69 killed several major Alberta pipeline and resource projects. Their West Coast tanker ban specifically blocks Alberta oil from accessing world markets. Their excessive industrial carbon taxes and the new oil and gas emissions cap are designed to keep our world-class oil and gas reserves in the ground. And net zero mandates on everything from electricity to vehicles are causing the cost of living to increase, business costs to soar, and are even endangering the stability of our power grid in the dead of winter. And the effects on Alberta's economy have been staggering. In just the last 10 years alone, more than $500 billion, that's $500 billion, in global investment capital destined for our resource sector has disappeared. It walked away from Alberta and Canada. And
now, it's important, as they're showing, of course, the flag of Texas here. A lot of investment has left Canada altogether. We've seen Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, actually one of the people who was present alongside Dr. Jordan Peterson as Danielle made her appearance at Mar-a-Lago shortly after Trump became the president. It really sets the tone here that what Alberta's looking for is a fair shake at the table. We're not looking to make waves or ruin anybody's lives or alienate the country. In fact, we're just looking for a fair deal to get our products to market and not see such excessively high amounts of money fleeing the country. However, the bureaucrats in Ottawa have their pockets lined with other entities, whether it be Saudi Arabian oil, whether it be the environmentals, as we call them. The list goes on. But Danielle's so far painting a pretty good picture as to what Alberta's problem is. The question as we move forward in this video is, what is Alberta going to do?
instead headed off to Texas, Asia, and the Middle East, to places that welcome resource development and jobs. That cost Alberta and Canada quite literally hundreds of billions in GDP, corporate taxes and resource royalties for healthcare, education, and public infrastructure. It cost hundreds of thousands of jobs and thousands of healthy and growing businesses. It was national.
And this is one of the things to bring up as she's on this point, is that this is where the Alberta frustration lies, is that have not provinces like Quebec taking billions of dollars to the tune of, so far this year, $17 billion out of Albertans' pockets, while saying pipelines aren't socially acceptable, but that, as Pierre poilievre quotes, we should continue to shut up and pay. This is a terrible model, and it's not going to work for Alberta anymore. You have nothing but what Danielle Smith warned Mark Carney he would have if he didn't address these issues, which is a unity crisis.
Self-harm on a level never seen. And no province was hurt more than ours. And those costs keep building every single day. But we're not just losing investment, we're losing trust. As I said, this story is bigger than just the last decade. Alberta has been treated unfairly for decades long before that. We've built roads, rail, power, jobs, and prosperity for this country. Yet we've been told to keep quiet and be grateful, while sending $20 billion a year more to Ottawa than we receive back in funding each year. In fact, since 1980, Alberta has contributed $653 billion more to federal taxes than we receive back. That means...
Now that should infuriate every Albertan, while also bringing over the empathy from everyone in other provinces across the country to understand just why Albertans are so mad. This isn't just pipelines. This is what we've said before. It's not just about oil. When you look at the Senate seats, when you look at the representation of our votes, when you look at the frustration that's building amongst Albertans, amongst people in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, BC, they've all had enough with being told their voice doesn't matter. Now, while all of these trillions of dollars are leaked out of Alberta over decades, with zero respect from a federal government, where exactly are we supposed to go moving forward?
well over $500 billion went directly from Alberta to fund other provinces, mostly with economies larger than ours, through programs, transfers, and equalization. And despite this, we have continued to be the economic engine and job-creating juggernaut of this country, and have opened our province to those from every corner of Canada looking for work and opportunity. And when we point out these facts, how do Ottawa politicians and Eastern elites respond? Our concerns are dismissed, our values marginalized, our leaders vilified, and our industries remain targeted. Most Albertans are or want to be proud Canadians. We've fought for this country, fed this country, and powered this country. But the status quo relationship with Canada cannot continue. It's time for Alberta to take a stand, with ideas, with facts, with our voices, and with action. If Canada is to be a strong and unified country, it must include a strong and sovereign Alberta, able to pursue our own potential without being held back by our own country. That's why we're launching the Alberta Next panel, a province-wide series of in-person and virtual town halls where your voice, your ideas, and your values will help shape Alberta's road ahead. The Alberta Next panel gives you a seat at the table to speak directly with industry and government leaders, constitutional scholars, and policy experts.
So this is something, let's just go back real quick right here. This is something I have said for our viewers is most important when you're frustrated with the government. You need to get out and you need to speak to those in charge, and you need to make sure that they hear your voice and your frustration. If the UCP government is ever going to be convinced that Albertans have an issue to the point where they're talking about independence, where they want to pack their bags and leave, the Alberta Next panel is the best place for you to voice those concerns, not in an aggressive tone, but rather going out there and making sure you're heard, that they understand enough is enough. As Danielle has lowered the threshold, as she has said many times that, Albertans can move forward on a citizen-led initiative. This is the best way for Albertans to get forward and let the UCP know, hey, I'm somebody who votes for this party. I'm somebody who votes for this current premier, but we've had enough. What are you guys going to do about it? As Danielle says, it gives you a seat at the table. So if you've ever felt like you've been unheard, or that your government doesn't care. These panels, if we research when these panels are about to happen, and keep in mind, I will inform people well in advance. As soon as I know about when these town halls are, I will be letting you know in videos. Go to these panels. Make sure your hand is in the air. Make sure you're heard. Let the government know, that you have had enough.
Scholars and policy experts to explore ideas for Alberta to assert our constitutional rights to prosper and become an equal partner in Confederation, and to discuss how we can protect Alberta from outside economic attacks going forward. And when the panel has finished its work, it will recommend which ideas should be put to the people of Alberta for a referendum vote in 2026. Now, I know these can be tough and emotional conversations, and that's okay. We are Albertans. We can have hard conversations and share our ideas and opinions respectfully, and stay good friends and neighbors while doing so. Because really, the vast majority of Albertans, regardless of their politics or backgrounds, all want the same thing. We want to live in a country that works for us, not against us. It's about building an Alberta that is strong, free, and sovereign within a united Canada.
So right there is where I have the issue with this video, and where I think Danielle may have missed the mark a little bit. Now, hold on before you jump down my throat in the comments, folks. Again, I would encourage you to come back later today, check out my interview with Preston Manning. Again, some of these things get discussed as to what the path forward should be or could potentially be. Now, we've heard Danielle talk about how Alberta could be similar to Quebec via a nation within a nation, by changing its provincial barriers to make sure that Alberta has more say at the table, that hey, if the government doesn't want to get on board, we're just going to go do our own thing anyways. But what I'm not seeing here is Danielle acknowledging the disdain and the frustration of Albertans. Now, while she says that those conversations can be tough, that everybody gets emotional, I think emotional is a very small way to put it these days, because Albertans have shown that over 50% of them currently are fed up, that they've had enough, that the federal government just isn't working for us anymore. Danielle Smith moved forward with a list of demands for Mark Carney. So far, after just 17 days of Mark Carney actually going to work before leaving for summer vacation, he's made it very apparent he's doing nothing that is on those lists. So while I agree with Danielle that it's within her best interests to push for a sovereign Canada, and for Alberta to remain a part of that, who wants to shoot themselves in the foot by putting a bazooka in front of their face? So I understand why she's doing that. But at the same time, lending some sentiment to those who are frustrated is probably more beneficial at this point in time. Danielle, at some point, is going to have to make the decision, where is the line in the sand and when is enough enough? Now, she gave Mark Carney 6 months to, or Pierre Poilievre, depending on who would have won the federal election, to decide if they wanted to consider an Alberta strategic partner at the table. Now, when you line up those 6 months with what she's talking about in these Alberta panels, gearing for a referendum ballot in 2026, it sounds like she's following through on that promise. So I don't want to scrutinize too much. However, what I want to know is, where is the line in the sand that if Mark Carney doesn't act on his promises, Albertans are going to see some action from the United Conservative Party saying to Ottawa, okay, we gave you a warning. You don't want to work with us. It's time for Alberta to pack their bags. It's time for us to go. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you agree with everything Danielle said? Do you maybe, hopefully, jump on my wagon a little to say that, hey, she could have said a little bit more? Now, again, I'm not upset with Danielle Smith. I'm not angry with Danielle. I'm not being negative against Danielle. I know people like to, anytime you go off the rails a little bit of what's expected, people think you're all of a sudden against those people. But again, I'm very much in Danielle's corner. I do agree with the steps she's taking in order to protect the UCP remaining strong in Alberta, no matter what happens in a referendum. But at some point in time, the question remains, when do we say enough is enough? When do we tell Mark Carney, we gave you an opportunity and you didn't take it? Things have to change. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Do you plan to go to one of these town halls? Do you plan to try and have your voice heard by the government of Alberta? Do you agree again with what Danielle said? Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you're hitting that button, you turn on the bell for all notifications so that you never miss a beat whenever a video drops. Again, come back later today. Check out my interview with Preston Manning. It's a fantastic interview. It answers a lot of questions from all sides of the spectrum and might actually hint a little bit as to why I'm saying things have to shift a little bit or where other possibilities may lie within a sovereign Canada. Preston does a great job of laying that out, and I would encourage all of you to come back and check that out later today on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.